Hello everyone, Be Natural here. So ZZZ has been out for about a week now, and I've had some time to enjoy the game, but notice that the game doesn't really punish you for not making use of all the combat mechanics, which seems to lead to a lot of people feeling that the combat is either too brainless and easy, or that fights are taking too long. So today, I'm gonna try my best to explain the basics of combat in ZZZ so that you can stop mindlessly button mashing and enjoy the cool ebb and flow of combat in this game. At the moment, in ZZZ, there are 5 character roles: Attack, Anomaly, Stun, Support, and Defense, and each of them can be one of the 5 elements of Fire, Ice, Ether, Physical, or Electric. Attack characters are probably what you're thinking of when you picture a standard damage dealer. Their damage output comes from attacking the enemy directly, and many of them build a crit or elemental damage increase build to increase their overall damage output. Anomaly characters are the second type of damage dealers in ZZZ, and deal damage primarily through elemental reactions called attribute anomalies. Their main goal is to push the enemy's anomaly gauge to quickly fill it up and cause an attribute anomaly, which deals damage in a variety of ways depending on the element that triggered it. Stun characters focus on quickly building the stun gauge of enemies to more frequently open up big damage windows for your team. Supports can provide a variety of effects, but are primarily focused on increasing your team's damage output either by buffing your team directly or debuffing the enemy. And finally, as the name suggests, defense characters focus on protecting your team. At the moment, the only defense unit available is Ben, and he has the ability to shield your entire team and buff their crit rate while they're shielded. In addition to the 5 character types, Bang Boos are another aspect to your team that can either deal damage, buff your team, or be a part of chain attacks. A team in ZZZ consists of 3 characters and a Bang Boo. The game recommends to go with an attack, stun, and support setup early on, but you certainly don't need to always follow that formula. For example, some popular comps use 2 DPSers and a support, building their team around the elements rather than around their roles. The enemy's info bar is broken down into sections. You have the health bar on the top, the Daze on the bottom, and the Anomaly Gauge on the right. The Daze bar goes up as you attack enemies and is also reflected as a number to the right of the bar. Once full, it'll glow and flash in color, which indicates that the enemy is stunned and that the next heavy attack will trigger a chain attack. Heavy attacks vary, but generally are the final hit of your basic attack combo, skill, EX skill, ult, or assist. Once you trigger the chain attack, you'll be able to cycle through and trigger multiple chains depending on the type of enemy you're facing. Most commonly, it'll either be 1 for normal enemies, 2 chain for elite enemies, or 3 for bosses. After the chain attacks are finished, the Daze bar will turn gray and start draining, which indicates the remaining stun duration. Stunned enemies cannot move and take more damage based on the stun damage multiplier, which is shown below the Daze bar. To the right of the health and Daze bars is the Anomaly Gauge. Only one element's gauge is visible at a time, but each element has its own gauge and will go up as you deal damage of that type. When the gauge is full, it'll trigger an attribute anomaly of the corresponding type, which generally deals a high amount of damage either instantly or over time. If you trigger a second anomaly while one is active, it'll trigger Disorder, which deals additional damage based on the original anomaly and also deals a large amount of daze, and then also performs the second anomaly effect as well. Set up well, a team can constantly trigger Disorders, dealing massive amounts of damage. Here are the effects of each attribute anomaly. Enemies that are shocked will take additional electric damage on hit with an internal cooldown. Similar to shock, hitting enemies with corrupted will deal extra ether damage. Burn quickly deals fire damage over time to enemies. Ice will freeze enemies for a short duration. Once the freeze ends, they'll shatter and take damage. During the entire effect, enemies are affected with frostbite, which increases their crit damage taken. Assault deals instant, massive damage and interrupts the enemy's action when activated. It also applies flinch, which increases the daze the target takes. Alright, next, let's talk about what each character's kit entails. Their kits are described in various parts of the skill screen, but to simplify, every character has a passive, basic attack, dodge, assist, skill, and ult. Each character's passive is different, but generally provides some kind of additional effect or buff upon meeting certain conditions. Your basic attack button is just a standard spammable attack. Generally, pressing it repeatedly will perform a basic attack combo, and some characters have additional interactions when holding down the button. By default, your dodge button will dash you backwards or in the direction you're currently holding. If used as you're about to be hit, it'll perform a perfect dodge, which you can tell by the slightly slowed down time and the grayish tint on your screen. Following a perfect dodge with a basic attack will perform a dodge counter. In addition, you can follow up a standard dodge with a basic attack to do a dash attack. Pressing the swap button will swap to the next character on your team without any other action. Fun fact, there's a previous character swap button as well. If you get launched back by the enemy, you can press swap to perform a quick assist, which will bring in your next character attacking. Keyword here is next, so make sure you set up your team order accordingly because you cannot choose who your quick assist target is in combat. Also, some abilities, usually the EX skill or chain attack from a support, will always activate quick assist. If an enemy's attack is preceded with a golden shine, you can press either swap button to perform a defensive assist, also referred to as a perfect assist. Doing so will parry the enemy's attack with a loud clang sound, and you can press basic attack to perform an assist follow-up. Defensive assists consume assist points, which you can see on the bottom right around the swap button. Every attack will consume a different amount, with smaller hits only taking 1, while larger hits or chains of hits from certain enemies can take even 3 to 4. Fun fact, Ben consumes less assist points than other characters. I'm not quite sure if this is unique to him or going to be a standard moving forward for defense characters, but it's something worth noting. Finally, if you run out of assist points and try to use a defensive assist, it'll swap characters and instead perform a perfect dodge. Your special attack or skill can be used at any time by pressing the button. Used this way, it'll do just a small amount of damage similar to a basic attack. Dealing damage in any way will generate energy for your character, and once you have enough, your skill button color will change, meaning you're able to use the EX version. The EX version of the skill is an empowered skill that deals way more damage and also will interrupt most enemies' attacks and animations. During combat, on the left side of your screen, you'll see a decibel value. Once it reaches the maximum value of 3000, you'll be able to use your ult on any character. Keep in mind that the decibel meter is shared across your entire team, so make sure you pick the character you want to ult on before using it. If a chain attack gets triggered, each swapped in character will perform their chain attack, which is basically a weaker ultimate. Oh, and also keep in mind that you're invincible during your dodge, dodge counter, EX special attack, chain attacks, and ult animations, so you can use that to avoid damage if needed. Finally, you can swap in the middle of most animations and the character will finish the action even after you swap off. Done correctly, you'll see both characters active on the field for the duration of the action. This is a slight DPS increase, but the biggest benefit is for extending the duration of short buffs from the previous character. Your team's gameplay and rotation will depend varying on your team comp, build, and combat itself, but generally speaking, the goal is to get your support's buff active, then swap between your other two characters with defensive assists. Keep in mind that although your main DPSer will likely do most of the damage, you'll want to occasionally swap back and forth to generate energy for your other characters, especially your support. The amount of time you need to field each character will depend on your energy regen, passive, and weapon. At the start, I think it's fine to use a basic attack combo and swap between your characters as you need. As you get a feel for your team's energy regen and rotation, you can adjust each character's on-field duration and add another basic attack combo or skill use as you see fit. For those using Anomaly team setups, you can also consider trying to line up your Anomaly Gauge procs so that you can proc 2 at once. This is heavily affected by your Anomaly Mastery, which determines how fast you generate gauge, and your Anomaly Proficiency, which determines the damage of your anomaly, but generally speaking, you want your harder hitting Anomaly proc to go first, followed by the second one. Done right, the constant procs of this order will allow you to have very high team DPS, even if the individual damage doesn't seem high. The combat in ZZZ is pretty simple and focuses on customizing and improving through team comps and builds, which is a great way to ease people into the game. Even though it doesn't require frame-perfect inputs or crazy rotations, you can still add in layers of complexity over time and greatly increase your team's overall damage output. I hope this guide helped you understand the combat system a bit more, and if it did, consider subscribing so you can see more of my content in the future. I hope you're having fun, and good luck with your pulls.